So this is kind of like a last minute lesson because with the iLearn schedule, my first and second hour classes aren't going to have math Tuesday or Wednesday or Friday. And so I didn't want you guys to get behind, so I'm going to record my lessons and give you a little activity to do, a module to work through, so you're not missing out on what's going on in math class on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So what we're going to start with are the area of parallelograms today. So remember, area is the amount of space that the shape covers, like the inside of the space. And your parallelogram, it's a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. But in order for it to be a parallelogram, the opposite sides here are equal and parallel, so they're never going to touch. And these opposite sides here are equal and parallel. So that's why it's a parallelogram. So we think, how do we find the area of a parallelogram? Well, if you think of it, how do you find the area of a rectangle? Because this looks like a rectangle. It's just slanted, right? And we know we take length times width to find the area of a rectangle. Well, with a parallelogram, it's just a little different, okay? So your formula for a parallelogram, and you need to have this one memorized, okay? Your formula for a parallelogram is your area. You would find it by taking your base times your height, okay? So you're going to take your base times your height. Now, this is a little different than a rectangle because your height, like a rectangle, okay? Remember what I said yesterday. Your height intersects your base at a 90-degree angle, okay? So if you look at this first parallelogram, okay, here is your width, or your base, okay? So your base is the bottom or the top, and your height, if you look, is this dotted line inside the parallelogram because it intersects the base at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so the height, just like a triangle, the height has to intersect the base at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so to find the area, you would take your base times your height. Okay, so if you look at this first example here, we have our parallelogram. And if you look, there's 3 numbers. Sometimes they do this to trick people, okay, but also to know that you know which one the height is. Okay, so if we look, if we're going to find the area of this, okay, we know we've got to take our base times our height. So our base is the 11 here, okay, because it's the bottom one. And our height, if you remember, your height has to intersect the base at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so that means 4 is our height, not 6. We're not going to use 6 at all, okay? So we know that our height is 4, okay? So now if we find our area equals base, which is 11, times our height of 4. So our area is going to be 44 centimeters squared. Remember, area is always in square units, okay? I'm going to do one more example with you where you're going to have to use some problem solving, okay? So let me go ahead and draw our parallelogram. Draw my height then here. So we have our parallelogram, okay? And I'm going to tell you that the base is 20 feet, and I'm going to put an X for the height. Remember, that's a variable. It stands for a number. Guess what we're going to have to figure out? That number. And I'm going to tell you that the area of this parallelogram is 220 square feet. Okay? And we have to find the height. So we're going to use our equation to find the area. We know that area equals base times height. Okay? So we know that our area is 220 square feet. And that is equal to our base of 20 times our height of x. Well, this should look very familiar to you guys. 20 times x equals 220. You've got an equation, right? Remember your goal. You've got to solve the equation. We've got to get rid of this. We've got to get x all by itself. So right now, this is 20 times x. You got to use your inverse. You're going to divide each side by 20 to get x by itself. Okay? These 20s will cancel each other out, and you're left with x, okay? And then when you take 220 divided by 20, you get that our height is 11 feet, okay? So I'm going to have a little activity for you to do on Canvas, okay, with parallelogram so you can get some practice. And then I'm going to come back and you're going to have a little lesson over trapezoids.